It's my pleasure to welcome Emma Donovan to noise11.com, and I believe I think this is the very first time we've actually had an interview, Emma, so it's well overdue.
It is. And thanks heaps for let me come and have a yarn and geez, I'm just having a look at your amazing collection there, Paul. Wow.
Yeah, one or two vinyl in the background there, which in the coming days we will be adding another one, won't we? The
Yes.
Till My Song Is Done album. Congratulations on this record. It's really nice to see a record come out under your own name.
I think that's the biggest, probably the hardest thing for me. Was I've been so close, tight knit with the Putbacks, for these 8 years of my life. I think this is exactly what it is that little bit of separation, but at the same time taking a bit of ownership. And I think if I do anything on my own, I'm telling everybody, it just goes immediately back to family, and my roots, and everything that I stand for is me, is what I stand for when I'm alone, but when I'm on my own and rocking solo.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, for somebody who is of a certain age, I mean, you're still of a young age, but you've been doing this like for 3 decades, 30 plus years.
Oh yeah. When I was born into a very musical family, and I tell everybody I was this spoiled little granddaughter. I had, like, picture this, I had like Nan and Pop that both sang like stunning duets. Like they sang these old classical gospel duets where they learnt these old mission gospel songs. Pop, like, this is all Mum's family, mid North Coast. Something definitely in the water up there, in the salt water, I reckon, or fresh water. But then Mum sang a little bit, but then she had these 5 brothers that all played music like Pop and sang. And then along comes the first golden granddaughter, and it's me. But I got the best of like 2 lots of generations, and like I actually take to be honest, I've always kind of just slotted in there somehow. I'm not the front woman or anything of the family. I'm like the niece, I'm there alongside all the other nieces and all the other nephews when I sing. I take a backseat. The uncles sing up first before me.
So how old were you when you first sang with the family group?
Oh, look, they say Mum discovered me singing my voice. I reckon I was a loud, annoying kid. I think I just had a big voice in general, yelling around. But she said that I'd sing. My mother's name was Agnes. She said that I was singing around 6. There's actually a video of me singing at one of the uncle's weddings. And I'm about 6 years old, and I'm singing "Stand By Your Man" by Tammy Wynette.
And a 6-year-old singing that song, you would have no idea what that meant, would you?
You would have no idea of the response. Like, all you can hear at the end, because there's a big blackfella family reception, wedding, and so the family's like, distorts the speakers. But I mean, I don't actually remember that as a 6-year-old. It's so beautiful though, seeing that video, because my poppy, my biggest influence, he plays guitar, and Mum's there, real proud, holding me up because I'm a little girl. But then I got kind of cracking, or Mum became like the dance mum. When I was about 11, then I went for it. It was Tamworth Country Music Festival for us every year after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The not only touring with the Donovans, being part of the Donovans, would have meant that you got to see a lot of the countryside at a very early age, I imagine.
My uncles toured a lot. There was one uncle in particular, Uncle Mike Donovan. He had a few other bands and friends from Tamworth, but he'd always get asked to play bass for musos like Uncle Roger Knox. He had his whole family, Uncle Roger, all the Knox family. They were like the Donovan families, where we just had generations of, these musicians, kids and grandkids all singing. And then he'd sing a lot for Uncle Cole Hardy. I don't know if you know that old singer.
Mm.
Uncle Cole Hardy was one of the first Aboriginal men to win a golden guitar, I believe. So I'd get these little slots, that was my little step in the door. I'll be waiting at the Yarra Bay Sailing Club at the bistro, and I'd wait for me uncles to call me in and sing my 2 songs. Like that's pretty much, besides, mum taking me to Tamworth and getting all the talent quests and doing all the busking. They were my first times I got gigs. So yeah, I didn't perform a lot with the Donovans till a bit later. Like I can always kind of get up and sing and have a whale with them when I get invited.
Well, you've always been surrounded by great singers, haven't you? Particularly on this record, you've got 2 great singers, Changes Coming with Liz Stringer, and also Sing Over You, Paul Kelly. 2 amazing people to have in the studio. You talked about being outside, being called in. Were they outside and you got to call them in? Is that how that worked?
Oh, look, I think, look, I'm a huge fan of Liz Stringer. I think, incredible album, First Time Really Feeling. That was a big record for me, 2021. Just to hear her story, I think she's a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And all the accolades that she got for that album. I just wish to have seen her get actually more. But I think she's very prolific. I followed her years back, but this album stood out the most for me. And then I was thinking, how can, I made friends with her, and I think I cried at one of her gigs once, and I was like, "You're so amazing, Liz. You're the best," letting it all out. But I then humbly just asked her, I'm like, "Please, if I do a record, could you come and sing with me?" And we sent her that demo. I had no idea what the answer was going to be, but she's there. And if it's a fitting song, that what she's on, that song is about, change gonna come, changes are coming. And there's this one line, I want you walking with me, I need you by my side, talking about black fella, white fella, to do this together. And I couldn't think of a strong woman, other than Liz. She's one of my most inspired friends.
Yeah. And what about Paul? You've known him for a long time.
Oh, I love Paul. I think he's amazing. Like, I seen Uncle Archie have this amazing friendship with him, and I'm just so like we were talking before about, albums. I just think he's an absolute genius. Like I could probably talk to the rest of this whole interview about Paul Kelly. I just, every album he does, I sink my teeth in. I just love the way he writes. I learn heaps from him listening to all his albums. And I think he's awesome. Like he invited me on a few different recordings himself, with the last Christmas Train album. And I'm like, wow, being on a Paul Kelly album, that's kind of a big deal. That album is actually sitting up on my shelf at home. No one's allowed to touch that album. It's, I got that record. Pretty proud to be a part of that Paul Kelly. I met him a lot, actually on my first times I toured with the Putbacks, and he invited me to do a support, kind of gig run with him. And I couldn't believe it. So, and he's very encouraging too, he's very encouraging to a lot of young, like to anyone, young or old. And he's been there for a lot of Aboriginal mob, in the community, doing all kinds of projects. I see him with Briggs. I see him with, Uncle Archie. I see him now singing a lot with Jess Hitchcock. So yeah, that was a mouthful, but how can you help it, Love PK. love PK. Uncle PK.
Uncle PK. Very, very good. How far back did you decide that you were going to do this solo album?
Oh, look, I reckon it's something I always would I dreamt up. I just didn't have the guts. I didn't think I'd push it out this quick. It's pretty cool. Like the record label booking vinyl that backed the, me and the Putbacks last album offered a, solo opportunity. And I was like, really? Oh, I don't know. I kind of wigged out. And then I think at the time, my manager, I'm like, did they really kind of, bring that up? And I kind of was a bit awkward because I was, just so fixed in this, bubble with the Putbacks. Like, it's been amazing. The Putbacks have been a massive, they're my band. Like, I've worked with them for so long, and the friendships are very deep. So it's there's a lot of emotion, stepping away from being so comfortable with them. They say it's like your working relationships is like they're like my partners. So it's like I left like 5 partners. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's kind of like it's made me already like just I know this is just a scratch of the surface. Like I know for a start that it's funny when you're in a sweet spot and you get into a rhythm like that with a band. It's unreal what you can think, to do for yourself when you step outside it.
Mm.
And that's where I am, Paul. And I'm nervous now that it's only a day away. That people are gonna hear this sound, but most of all, I'm just proud now. Yeah, what could go wrong?
So how different will the solo show be compared to a putback show?
Well, I play with on the band and on the record. We've got the amazing Ben Edgar, and he's been covering lead guitar as well as lap steel. And he brings a bit of banjo to some of the tunes. So he's an all rounder on the lead guitars. And I just wanted that, it was Mickey Mars' suggestion. So Mickey Mars, one of the old Putback bassists. I met Mickey Ma in Black Arm Band years ago, 2014.
Hmm.
And we've known each other for years. And I feel like he kind of knows me the most in all these band, outfits, all these kind of genres, and he knows my background with the Donovans. And I lent towards him to finish a lot of these tunes. So, as much as the shapes of them are all kind of like my own, he was there to collaborate again with me. But we got that lead guitar and that real, amazing, like, old school, guitar sounds from Ben. Got the amazing, I don't know if you know, you should know him. His name's Barney McCall, and he's a stunning, piano player, and does all kinds of, keys, and he's just I've fallen in love with Barney, and I've had to get him on there to, do the classical kind of piano sounds. And these are sounds like my grandfather used to play like piano. And so there was a few little sounds like I jumped on. I thought I was part of the band and played me ukulele. Like, never thought I'd ever record the ukulele, but that's where some of the songs kind of, came from. Me just having a go on the guitar. Like I said, like I was this spoiled grandkid growing up, but I knew kind of chords and solid melodies that came from my family. So I kind of stuck to, like, stay in your lane, stick to what on your own. So I had to go at some of that, and I got one of the uncles actually on the album. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't it incredible? 2004, the Changes EP. That was 20 years ago already.
Oh, I was waiting for someone to bring this up because I'm like a little bit shy about that. Like, people are like, is this your first solo album? I said, it's not actually. I did record a couple of, EPs and a full album before I met the Putbacks, but that would have been the time that I was meeting, Mick and Rory from the Black Arm Band. So it's way back. And, when I look at them albums, I think of the songs I was writing. It was like my first go, at writing and, trying to produce and put music together. I think, in the flash, record kind of, scene with the Putbacks, these guys, this is where I learned that a little bit about that craft. They're pretty solid when it came to their own, sounds and what they wanted and how they wanted to sound, live and on a recording. And that was a big eye opener for me. So I get a little bit shy talking about some of the older stuff I recorded, but hey, gotta be proud of that too. You learn as you go. Yeah.
When was the last time you actually performed something from Changes?
Oh, I actually never. Yeah. I probably couldn't even tell you that.
Hmm.
Probably way before I met the Putbacks, like as soon as I kind of, you know, came out of the Black Arm Band, was on tour that one time. Remember it so well when Rory, the drummer from the Putbacks, said, "Ems, you got to come. You got to, when you're in Melbourne, like hang around and come and watch us play, and we'd love to have do something with you, like." Now we're always burning me CDs as you did in them days, burnt a little.
I remember those days.
No playing, sending playlists or anything like that, Spotify playlists. These guys were marking, the old blank CD and with Texter, they were writing these tracks. Some of them were putbacks tracks, and some of them were these, selections from records that they just all dig, some old Ann Saxton, Irma, Irma Thomas and Booker T. Jones. Like I didn't know them. I didn't know them muso. So yeah, sorry, I'm going off the question there, but I'm reminiscing about actually them old. I should try and look for them old burnt CDs. But yeah, that was the time then that I I went from straight, like it was that extension of the Black Armband that I fell in the arms of the Putbacks. Yeah.
There's a lot of history there, and the
There
new
is.
album, Till My Song Is Done. Why did you choose that song as the title track?
I know I kind of got this little thing. I try not to think too much about an album name. And for me too, I suppose I look at albums as a snapshot of that time, and it's easy for me to go, what's the song out of this whole album that sums up, that story? And for me it is Till My Song Is Done because yeah, the lyrics, they reflect a lot on, why I carry how I want to carry myself, why I get out the door and, I love to sing all the reasons my song never be done, all the reasons why I want to continue. And yeah, there's a couple of lines in that song is that I love and I'm so proud when I sing it up. It's you know, my feet will carry me around, but it's always my songs that gonna carry me home. Yeah.
That's a brilliant summary of the whole thing. It's an absolutely wonderful album. I predict there may be a few awards for you from this record coming
Oh,
over the next.
oh,
So
I
I'll
look,
say it
Ozzy,
here
thank
first.
Okay. Thank you so much, Paul. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, honored to have it out there and just have some incredible players. And also just starting to hear some feedback now has just already lifted me, that I could do it. And like I said, yeah, I think there's more where it come from. It's actually made me think a lot more about my family. I had them two grandparents. We only got cassettes of Nan and Pop, and they never got into studios or there wasn't anything like walking into a studio and recording on vinyl or anything for them. We we could still hear the little the two cassette. You can hear Pop like recording himself on the cassette. And so when I think about my music, I think, I channel them old fellas that started me, and that influenced me from the beginning. And this album is, it's for them. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, Emma, and thank you for joining us at Noise 11.
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you. And very lovely to see your face here and thanks for sharing a bit of my story.